Imagine a woman who was famous for her beauty, admired by millions on the silver screen, and considered one of Hollywood's most glamorous stars. Now imagine that away from the cameras, she was thinking about something completely different. War, radio signals, torpedoes, and a problem that seemed almost impossible to solve. This woman was Hedy Lamarr. To the world, she was a Hollywood actress, but behind that image was a curious and inventive mind that would eventually contribute to the history of modern wireless communication. Hedy Lamarr was born Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler on November 9, 1914, in Vienna, Austria. Her father, Emil Kiesler, was a bank director, while her mother, Gertrude, was a concert pianist. From an early age, Hedy showed an unusual curiosity about how things worked. She studied piano and ballet and eventually became interested in acting. Smithsonian Institution +1. As a young woman, she entered the world of European cinema. In 1933, she appeared in the controversial Czech film Ecstasy, a role that brought her international attention and also created controversy around her image. But Hedy wanted more than simply becoming famous. Her life in Europe soon became complicated. She married Austrian arms manufacturer Friedrich Fritz Mandel in 1933. Through her connection to Mandel and the people around him, she was exposed to conversations involving military technology and weapon systems. She would later draw on some of this knowledge when thinking about military communications. Sova Plosisa. The marriage eventually ended, and in 1937, Hedy left Mandel and made her way toward a new life. That new life would be in America. In London, she met Louis B. Mayer, the powerful Hollywood producer and co-founder of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Mayer saw something in her. He brought her to Hollywood, gave her the stage name Hedy Lamarr, and introduced her to American audiences. In 1938, she appeared in Algiers, her first English-language film. Hollywood quickly discovered what European audiences had already noticed. Hedy Lamarr had an extraordinary screen presence. She became one of the most glamorous stars of Hollywood's golden age. She appeared in films including Ziegfeld Girl and, years later, Samson and Delilah, one of the biggest successes of her career. To the public, she seemed to represent everything Hollywood wanted from a movie star: beauty, elegance, fame. But there was another side to Hedy Lamarr that Hollywood rarely understood. She loved inventing. She reportedly spent time thinking about problems and experimenting with ideas, even while building her acting career. And then World War II changed everything. When America entered the war in 1941, Hedy wanted to help the Allied cause. She had already been exposed to discussions about military technology in Europe. Now she began thinking about a serious problem involving radio-controlled weapons. The problem was simple to understand. If a torpedo could be controlled by radio, an enemy might be able to interfere with or jam the signal. If the signal could be blocked, the weapon could be made useless. Hedy began thinking about whether a radio signal could somehow avoid being jammed. Then, in 1940, she met a man who would become her partner in one of the most unusual inventions of the era. His name was George Antheil. Antheil was not a traditional engineer. He was an avant-garde composer. He had experimented with unusual musical machines, including player pianos, and had a particular interest in synchronizing mechanical systems. Hedy and George discovered that their very different skills could work together. Hedy brought the basic concept. Antheil brought ideas about synchronization and mechanical control. Together they began developing a system that would allow a radio signal to rapidly change frequencies. The basic idea was surprisingly clever. Instead of keeping a radio signal on one frequency, the transmitter and receiver would jump between different frequencies in a synchronized sequence. If an enemy tried to jam the signal on one frequency, the signal would already have moved somewhere else. The transmitter and receiver would continue changing frequencies together. To an enemy listening in, the sequence could appear unpredictable. This became known as frequency hopping. It was designed as part of a secret communication system for controlling radio-guided torpedoes. National Inventors Hall of Fame +1. And this is where the story becomes even more remarkable. The concept wasn't simply left on paper. Hedy Lamarr and George Antheil worked on the invention for years. They prepared technical material and worked with patent attorneys. In August 1942, they were awarded U.S. patent number 2,292,387 for a secret communication system. At the time, the patent listed Hedy under the name Hedy Lamarr, Smithsonian Institution +1. But the invention did not immediately become the military breakthrough Hedy had hoped for. The U.S. Navy did not use their system during World War II. And Hedy Lamarr returned to what Hollywood knew her for: movies. The public saw an actress. Few people understood that she had also worked on a sophisticated communications idea during wartime. For decades, her invention received little public attention. Hedy continued her acting career and appeared in numerous films. But eventually, her Hollywood fame began to fade. And something else happened. Her invention began to look more important with the passage of time. Technology changed. Radio communication became increasingly sophisticated. Engineers developed new forms of spread-spectrum communication, and frequency hopping techniques became useful in secure communications and other wireless systems. This does not mean Hedy Lamarr personally invented modern Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or GPS. That popular claim is an oversimplification, but her patented frequency hopping work became an important early contribution to the broader history of wireless communication. The National Inventors Hall of Fame describes her invention as an important development in wireless communications, while the Smithsonian notes its connection to later wireless technologies. National Inventors Hall of Fame +1. The irony was extraordinary. The woman Hollywood had largely remembered for her beauty had helped create an idea that engineers would later recognize for its technological importance. Yet Hedy did not receive major recognition for the invention during the height of her fame. In fact, she and Antheil did not profit from the invention during their lifetimes. The importance of their work became much more widely recognized decades later. National Inventors Hall of Fame. In 1997, Hedy and George received recognition from the Electronic Frontier Foundation for their contribution, and in 2014, Hedy Lamarr was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. By then, the world had changed dramatically. The technology around wireless communication had transformed everyday life. Phones, computers, wireless networks, navigation systems, connected devices. The modern world had become dependent on communication technologies that would have seemed almost impossible during Hedy Lamarr's youth. Hedy herself lived long enough to see some of that transformation, but she spent much of her later life far away from the glamorous Hollywood image that had once surrounded her. She died on January 19, 2000, at the age of 85. National Inventors Hall of Fame. For many years, people remembered Hedy Lamarr as a beautiful actress from Hollywood's golden age. But that was only one part of her story. She was also an immigrant who rebuilt her life in America. She was an actress who became a major Hollywood star. She was a woman who wanted to contribute to the Allied war effort. And she was an inventor who worked with a composer to develop a frequency hopping communication system decades before wireless technology became part of everyday life. Her story is a reminder that people are rarely just one thing. A person can be famous for one talent while possessing another that the world barely notices. Hedy Lamarr was celebrated for her face, but her mind was just as remarkable. She once lived in a world of movie cameras, red carpets, and Hollywood lights. Yet somewhere behind that glamorous image was a woman thinking about machines, signals, synchronization, and the future. She was not simply the Hollywood star people thought they knew. She was an inventor whose work helped open another chapter in the history of wireless communication. And perhaps that is the most fascinating part of Hedy Lamarr's story. She didn't set out to become a legend in technology. She simply saw a problem and tried to solve it. Hedy Lamarr was remembered as a Hollywood beauty, but history eventually discovered the inventor behind the face. If you enjoyed this story, like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Legends Archive for more stories about the extraordinary people who shaped history.